Alright, so this is again a good example of a map where we have a prominent middle ridge where you can often, if you get there first, like we should against this team, we can get early damage very safely. They have a really inflexible team lineup. Their heavy tanks are insanely slow. They've got 2 tank destroyers. The 3045Ms are the only thing that are their saving grace. So if we can at least get something out early game, we'll have. They probably have like 2,000 hit point advantage on us. Maybe it's not that much, but it's probably something, some kind of hit point advantage just because of those talks. So here we go, early damage. Let's try to get them out. Maybe we shouldn't be ramming each other in the back. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. So I don't think that anything else would have been able to get into that corner. So I'm going to press my vision aggressively out, and the rest of our team is going to reposition to take a fight into the middle donut area. Could their heavies be there? Can they get crossfire synergizing with my positioning? Things like that. So we're assuming they're camping here. We're going to try to get multiple firing lanes against their various positions. I'm a little surprised that I actually don't have shots there. Our guys are doing a pretty good job of getting fire out. Into him, there's a rock there too. The light tank took 2 shots there. So they're camping somewhere. We've checked, and I'm having the guys routinely check the back corner. I'm just gonna get rid of a tank here. Hopefully this makes our life a little easier. Actually only kind of as a partial hit. Hopefully we can get him out. There we go. Now I feel... So part of the reason I wasn't pressing my vision this way is because I was afraid I was going to get spotted kind of from that angle right there if I would have went in here. And I knew that, so I was waiting. And so now I'm going to try to get vision across. Our light tank is trying to get vision. We think they might all just be underneath us right here. But they could also be in the back corner. And I think somebody had taken fire from the back corner, so we kind of thought there might be something back there. But based on where our tanks are, they can only be like right under my position, or in the far back corner, way behind that. There's a little rock and there's a little bush back there that you can potentially sit behind. And they're just not giving us a lot of firing angles. I don't really want to be spotted here. There, our light tank died. He said it was a tank in the back corner. So I'm going to try not to take fire from him. And I was out in the open with really good view range, so he must have been double bushed to get that shot off. Again, what I want to do is get into that bush right there. I think that will allow me to keep a better eye on things, but with that 3045 the way he's going to spot me if I try to go up there. And I probably should try it again to get there because it's such a powerful position, and I think it would have done us a lot more good for me. The way this plays out, I should have been trying to get up there. It's still a considerably challenging situation because obviously there's a whole bunch of hit points sitting probably just below me in that corner. If we try to go all get them, we're gonna get one tank completely annihilated, and then they're just gonna have too many hit points. They're gonna be able to weather the storm. So we're discussing, can we just go for it, and then whatever tank or tanks are in the far corner there, maybe they will they should not be able to shoot us? Or should we send a tank hard into that corner to try to get him shot up from the top, and then we'll have more of a positional advantage and a way to actually deal with the tanks that are down below me? And so I think that's kind of what I wanted to do. Send a tank or 2 Cromwells. I'm going to skip the replay ahead because this one camps for quite a while. We're basically talking about how to do this. But then their Excelsior shows up there, and so that's an interesting consideration, because if I would have been up there, I think I would have spotted him. And I probably should be positioning now to actually do that. But I'm so perplexed by what the heck they're even doing there. I realize that I should be moving, but I don't know where to go. I'm so perplexed by what the heck's going on that I just don't even know where their tanks are going to be. Probably should have been on this position a little quicker. Still don't know where a lot of their tanks are. The fact that only 2 of them still are spotted, they could be anywhere. And here's a heavy tank. So we should be able to shoot this KV-2 in the back. I want them to deal with the Excelsior first, though, so they're gonna go do that. I'm a little bit worried about getting shot from across the map by the tank destroyer. I'm not really worried about this KV-2 killing me. I don't think that's the most likely scenario, because I think that I'll be able to get away from him for quite a while. But right now, he makes a pretty good play, ultimately, where he forces me into the line of fire for the 85M. I don't know if he did that intentionally, but our guys have repositioned and they can't really help against the KV-2. And there I take a shot from him. I should probably have just taken my chances with the KV-2 here versus run away versus, you know, something different. The KV-2 got me. So this is all still very weird, very campy. We're even on tanks, just 2 minutes left. We're trying to get repositioned to places that'll be useful. And they have... the only way they can win this is if we play them at close quarters, is kind of how I'm starting to feel about this game. Because several of their tanks are so slow that they will just not be able to fight us on our terms, and unless we fight them on their terms, we're also not going to win. So ultimately what we decide is to just try not to force anything, because we don't really have the tank or hit point advantage to force anything, and make them win it by coming out to engage us if they want to win it. But otherwise we're going to plan to draw. And so you can see there the Cromwells are running away to take various positions to go hide. The guys in the middle can keep poking vision out and getting a little bit of damage, but ultimately if they're going to camp, if they're going to take all kinds of loads of hit points and just sit in the corner, I don't know that there's a lot we can do about it, actually, because we just can't go down there and play them like in that back corner. If they want to use their hit points and heavy tanks, they should probably drive them somewhere. You know, they should have gone one line. It would have been fine. That would have been fine play for their team. But instead they decided that they needed to not move for the first 9 minutes of the game. So we'll give them a draw. Yeah. Alright, we find ourselves in Karelia again with an ARL and a KV-85. Oldie but goodie KV-85. Used to be called the KV-1S, I think. It was the tier 6 heavy, but it was super OP. But anyway, so we're going to try to play these guys at range, obviously, with all of their armor advantages on an open map. We need to take close range fights only on our terms, and otherwise try to get our vision going. Getting their light tank out early, that's a bad shot. Getting their light tank out early obviously would be a really good thing. We're going to try to keep pressing vision, and I think they're unlikely to show up down low. I am worried about them being right here. This would be a good play for them. And I'm mentally prepared to leave immediately if I should get spotted. And so it was probably a little late. They probably would have already been there if they were going to be there, but the idea here is that, yeah, I need to see them and then immediately leave, so I've positioned my tank to do so. Most tanks, light tanks especially, it doesn't really matter if I have the front or back of my tank to them other than module damage. They're going to pen me regardless if they hit me. If they hit me at all, they're going to pen me. So we think more and more that they're probably camping and that we need to go extend our vision. So the 2 light tanks will do that. The Cromwells are going to need to reposition. You can't have multiple tanks with the same firing angles if you're taking a camp down. So I'm asking them to move through the middle. Now that I've cleared that, it should be pretty safe. And I'm going to use various bushes to try to get vision up towards their cap. Our light tank is going to get towards their cap. Our Cromwells are not repositioning soon enough here. They needed to be doing this already. You know, anywhere like 50 meters from behind my position is good. Yeah, so I'm clicking on it now, trying to get them to reposition. I also think there's positions up on top of the hill that work really well for taking this camp down. So like right at F7 at the corner, at the top of the hill in the corner there, you can shoot various positions that can't really be hit by other parts of the map. So we need at least 1 tank to get up there. I'm pretty confident in my camo values and view range that I'm going to take some shots here and bounce them. Getting their view range out, is really important. So that guy needs to die. Okay, so now this is more reasonable as far as where our tanks are. I feel like except for the 1 Cromwell, I feel like is really tight. So he's going to lose hit points by virtue of being spotted when he wouldn't need to be. And you can see he's doing so. I don't know if he got caught out and felt like he needed to go in or what, but yeah, the position I like right up there, right on that corner is a really good position. So we feel like they're unlikely to be doing anything else. I'm not getting that much more effective spotting. I don't think we're in the best positions for shooting up here. I've said that already, but I'm going to keep trying to work vision out. So my idea here is I'm not going to exactly want to shoot them. As soon as I spot them or am spotted, I'm going to leave. So right there, although this one is different because he's a one-shot. I thought maybe I should stick it out for a second, which is not a good play. I should have left immediately. But we got a lot of their tanks now in a position in which we can hopefully be getting damage onto them. There we go. Heavy tank probably hasn't even shot yet. He's almost dead. So I'm going to do the same thing, different angles. The replay kind of gives me weird angles when it's in my perspective view, but same is true. So now we're finally getting the Cromwell up to the top there, where they have better ways to engage these targets. Better angles in which to engage these targets. I think the key to doing what we're doing too is to recognize it early and try to get that early damage try to get safe damage as early as possible, because at some rate at some point they might just get sick of it all and stop even trying to spot out and just go sit in the back corner. And if we don't recognize it and get their hit points lowered earlier on, then we're going to be at a disadvantage for when the time to push actually comes. I like Bob's positioning too. I think that's Bob in the corner. Yeah, I like a tank down there. There's again multiple sort of angles in which you can shoot. I recognize again that I need to kill the one-shot tank, so I'm going to go with the support of minimal other tanks. Just take this guy out because I don't think they're likely to be down here or be respawning. And now I'm going to leave because I don't want to get rushed, and I need to put my tank, if I do get rushed, in a position to get helped by my allies. So again, taking down a camp can be pretty boring. That was a misplay. I drove too far up there. That was bad. That was really bad. Again, I'm clicking on the spot on the top of the hill where I think there are awesome firing lanes, and we still, I guess, haven't really gotten there yet. But... So under 4 minutes now. I feel like we're going to have to start pressing vision a little bit. And since various routes I was taking weren't working, I'm going to try to get the distance closed. I saw that he was still not looking at me, so I felt comfortable going again. This 84-85M is setting up for me. I told him to keep blind firing. I'm sure he's still there. So to me it looks like he's probably not going to leave that position, especially with me proxy spotting him. And I figure, well, maybe I should just kill him with arty. But I'm kind of dumb because, and I should have been anticipating this, but they have arty too. And so I should probably do my best not to get shot by arty as I shoot it. At any rate, they're down. A couple of their tanks are nearly one-shots, so we need to close it if we want to win this. And I think I even asked, I said, should we win it or draw? And the sentiment was, we're going to try to win, but also they're down enough on hit points where it shouldn't have really been a question, I suppose. It should be, let's get in there. So the Cromwells are going to reposition to go down 0 line, and the couple of tanks here that are here, that's fine. I think that's Chaco. I think a little bit of a misunderstanding of what we were going for with Chaco, or if I said it wrong or whatever, but I think Chaco could have stayed on this flank and pushed with these guys because he's so far away. You can see on the other side the Cromwells are starting to move in. They're not meeting much resistance or even being spotted. Again, that's a complete failure on their part. They could have easily been positioned to see that coming, but they just didn't. Guess that's why you camp, because you just don't know any other positions on the map. Well, we got 4 really healthy Cromwells coming into their tanks with minimal hit points left. Probably could have stayed together a little better. We got to kill the one-shots, but it's probably enough time to make it work still. We're rolling really strong, and I was saying at the time that lone Cromwell needs to just chill for a second, let our force meet up with him. Too many tanks with low hit points. We really need to not lose another tank right here. Again, the high hit point tank needs to realize that and get in front, and then have the low. I should almost replay that. I'm going to replay that. Because this is such an important point that we have a 3-on-1, and these two need to know that they're nearly one-shots. I understand the urgency, but we have opportunity right here to fall back, to have this tank fall back behind the ridge, the one that's now in one shot, and to have the tank that is behind him to keep pushing, but they both fall back, which is a misplay. The tank behind him needs to go forward and get him covered up. If you trade 1-for-1 for him for the rest of the battle, then we still have 2 tanks alive right there instead of just 1. Like if that back Cromwell would have only traded 1-for-1, we still would have had 2 more tanks. And so basically what's happening over here, we communicated this. Comment said, oh, I can just avoid this guy forever and wait for that battle to play out. And now that it's now that we've got 2 tanks on, we should be pretty safe here. We've got to be a little careful again to let the tank with health be the one that gets shot first. And also, we almost killed each other. So again, micro lessons there. We could have microed that corner fight a lot better in the way that we need to understand who's a one-shot and who's not. can we save hit points? And sometimes it's just verbal communication where somebody has to be like, hey, I've got hit points, let me fall back, let me take the shot, so you can you just fall back. And I mean, maybe the dude still rushes around the corner, but that gives you the tank with hit points a better firing angle anyway. You probably track him there and kill him. So little issues that need to be cleaned up that are going to allow for a cleaner win next time. Back to Ghost Town. In our typical fashion, we're going to try to go to the one line and use cover and see what we can see. This one is an example, I think it's this one. It's going to be an example of one of the ways which I think that we are struggling with this map. So again, I'm light tank. I'm going to try to get vision out. I can probably do so safely, and I do. We've opted to send all of our tanks here. Again, capping on this map is not an issue. It's so open that we can easily reset from a distance. Be nice to know what the rest of their team is doing. So there's at least one more. I'm worried about getting blind fired into that because good players will know that that's where I am. So if they commit to this bull, we really in any force, we really should also counter commit and not let them push right into us. They don't know we're here yet until they're, and I'm asking who spotted, and I think only 1 or 2 tanks are spotted. So I really need to know if their tanks are following him or not. And they're kind of not, they're kind of waiting. Yeah, so we're getting shot in town a little bit, which is what tends to happen to us a little bit on this map. So we need to not get shot in the side, we have to go forward here. It's going up and over a ridge, but now they're committed. Now it takes the guesswork out. We have to go in, and it's probably better, to be fair, to go down to the lower side like these guys are doing. But we got to call targets now and get in there. I'm always a little hesitant to be the first one with a light tank, but we got to call targets. And here's a good example of micromanagement. And so we know that they're going to shoot us from the city right here. So as we're shooting these guys, we should be working up towards cover behind this rock and into the next valley here. So you'll see that we're kind of starting to do that a little bit, but probably not enough. And we're getting way too turned around. Like we're not really in position for the next target here. This tank and this tank are trying to manage their gun depression, but as he's dying, who's ready to go to the next target? It's basically only 3 tanks. And so, I'm a one-shot now, so I have to be a little bit careful. But also, I realize that I can mitigate my incoming fire angles by using this rock just on the fly. But we still have to press the advantage here because we've got tanks on us from multiple angles. The high health tanks definitely need to be in there first. They're doing a really good job. Got to stay with it here. Got killed from behind by my own tank. Another tricky scenario, he made the right play. He falls down the hill towards cover. Again, we're committed at this point. We have to kill this tank. And so the best way to do it isn't to turn around like Putt did here, but it's to get down into the hill so you can minimize your oncoming fire, especially when you're the first one like that. There's 2 tanks right behind you that are going to come shoot the guy too. You don't have to try to encircle him like that. You can go down the hill and shoot up at him from cover as our tanks are coming. You got to really be careful not to ram kill. There, and same thing right there. As we're killing him, our thought has to be, as we're auto aimed, locked down. And again, I know the gun depression over the back of the Cromwell is an issue, so you got to be careful with this a little bit. But our immediate thought needs to be, where's cover? And so cover is going to be here or there. So we get out a little bit into the middle here too much, and we don't have the hit points to deal with it anymore because those guys are in the middle. And so that's the issue with Sand River recently, is that I feel like our plays were what we needed to do at the time, but our micro plays were not clean enough. We got way too turned around, and we weren't thinking about the next shot. And we weren't thinking about where our next opportunity for hard cover is. Himmelsdorf, they've got some atypical tanks. The 40 TP, 244. 244 actually has a really good gun. Shoots really fast. 37 is a little less common tank in Strongholds. Since all the light tanks were nerfed, it's not quite as strong as it used to be. But we're going to try to sit in the corner and react to what they do. It's typical Himmelsdorf. Maybe I've said it 30 times in this video already. So it looks like they want to come down the middle to me, having seen two tanks. So we're going to counterattack. They're not going anywhere fast enough to really make it happen. So we're going to get into the opposite corner. And now the light tank is spotted. That's, I'd say, not a super common position. His purpose was to counter spot our vision. They must know that we're all spotted, and they should be respawning now. But again, you can see they're 244. He's just going to have to chase into position. We should be able to get their light tank out without taking much damage. And now we're going to just kind of keep the party going here. They should not have their tanks in position. We should be able to get 2 kills here pretty cleanly. There you go. There's a second one. 2 clean kills before the rest of their tanks can come support them. Now we're just going to keep it going. We have to try to keep driving in here and calling targets. 3 tanks out. Next target is called, and now essentially cleanup mode. We just got to get into them here. There's their heavy tank. But actually was a misplay there. We tried to stay back here too much. We should have been pushing out to maximize our angles. I'm actually going to rewind this one again. So these things are really subtle, but you'll see right here we need to be setting up our next shot better. So these tanks that are stopped right here on the corner, though they feel like they have clean shots, as soon as that next tank dies, they don't have a next shot without significant repositioning, right? So right here, they don't have a next shot without repositioning. So even though they were getting effective fire, they need to be repositioning for the next shot. So we've got that tank in the corner. He's the called target. We're having a lot of trouble with dead tanks in the way. That's fine. We should have three tanks there. That guy should die, and we have to be setting ourselves up for the next target here. There we go. Set up for the next target. Use hard cover, use soft cover, whatever, and then just keep the party going. But again, a very subtle. He keeps bouncing. It's subtle, but it makes a big difference in close games. That what's your next target? Are you likely to be able to on reload shoot the next target, or do you have to reposition and lose DPM because you're repositioning? The purpose of those crunch engagements are to use your hit points, but also keep your DPM high and keep your gun immediately on the going to the next target. So it takes a little bit of foresight to be able to be consistently setting up the next target. Okay, here we go on Prokhorovka. Again, a map that I would interpret that we're struggling with lately. And maybe we will get some insight as to why. A couple ways to think about this. If I can, I would love to get in the E1 bush. It's really hard to get there from this side. They have some medium tanks that, by definition, are not going to be able to support them. So hopefully I can get into the E1 bush and not be spotted, but obviously, yeah, spotted. Um, the T-50-2 was in a good position. Hopefully we can get him out. Hopefully I can get out. And I think I might be good until right there. I can't believe I was still spotted and died. So, maybe I should have stayed in the depression. I thought I would have been unspotted. Um, because of what they're doing, we need to attack. Their forces are split. The medium tanks are split. I don't like the way that this tank is driving the open a little too much. I think we should be driving kind of through the cover of the bushes a little bit better. So they obviously know what we're doing now. Chaco's taking damage. We need to get somebody in there. Again, I don't know if he's still spotted or they got lucky or whatever, but I think we need to continue to try to get whatever is on this corner out. And there's a Cromwell behind as well. So here we should focus on the 50-2 real quick, get him out perfect, get the 85M out next. Then we need to drop down into the Cromwell now, because otherwise he's just going to continue to spot us. And I guess this is maybe questionable, because they know we're doing it. Maybe we should have got dark first and then attacked in. But, you know, lone tank, we have to kill him right there. And maybe we took too much fire coming over the ridge. Down here is safe, and but there's limited lanes out of here. We have a tank advantage, but we haven't done any damage to the 3 remaining tanks on their team, so this is going to be bad. We're hoping to get in a bush right there and spot out. Obviously, was not able to happen. And then there's our other one who shows up, so we're in a really poor position here. I don't know, maybe we shouldn't have chased the Cromwell. This one's hard to know. Certainly I shouldn't have died. That would have made a big difference. It would have played significantly different if we had another tank alive. We do a pretty good job of focusing fire here. I don't know. This is a hard one to say definitively what we could have fixed. I think our assessment of pushing one line was valid. I think the question is, should we have chased that Cromwell down there? Maybe not. They were so split. We had to try to get him out though. Maybe there's a safer way to do that. C100Y and Artie. Again, Artie is just it can be problematic taking an Artie into a Strongholds battle. So we really need to be able to capitalize on that fact that they're playing without a tank, basically. Also, again, Su-100Y is extremely blind and limited gun arc. 12T I would consider not a competitive light tank. I think it has too much limitation in DPM and accuracy, gun arc, elevation, depression. Everything is really limited with that. So 12T is there. We're going to try to kill him if we can. I'm spotted. Need to get down off the ridge. We weren't able to respond to that 12T quite like we needed to there. I'm a little bit worried about getting rushed. There he is again. We really need to try to get him out if we can get him out safely. It's clear that he's operating alone. These are probably from either direction, one of the more powerful bushes on this map for keeping an eye on the northern part of the map. Okay, there we go. We committed, we got him out. We lost probably a little more hit points than we needed to. They're clicking where the fire was coming from on the hill. It's not surprising. Maybe I should be spotting the hill. So we're going to try to take a couple different angles at them. I've got the north locked down. We're going to try to reposition to the south. Every time we see tanks on the hill, they need to be really rapidly taking fire. So he wasn't. I'm going to get a little cheeky and try to shoot here. I think I wouldn't have been spotted if I would have shot. But I don't want to die, so... And I probably shouldn't have shot, because even if I would have hit him, then it would have alerted him to where I was, but... I guess... I guess it's okay. Already you just heard fire. Their artillery unit is blind firing different positions and bushes, and I think he does that for a while still. It's hard to know how to approach this. I think we should use the fact that we have now one less tank, and they haven't already, and they have a C-100Y, that we need to reposition in order to, and just attack, and use our focus fire, and the fact that we won't really ever be able to engage their entire team. It'll just be a limited engagement no matter how you look at it. Or I should say that the other way, their team won't be able to all engage us because one's dead and one's an arty. So we should fight an unfair fight no matter how we do this, as long as we can, you know, not allow them to prepare for what we're doing and get into a good counter position. So we'll just take all our tanks in close distance and go from there. Yeah, there's already blind firing again. You could argue that we should have kept doing what we were doing and had the light tanks get more aggressive, but it's tough because they're likely camping. There's so many positions that they could be in that they could, get one of our scouts out and then we'd be out another tank. So we're gonna take the advantage that we have already developed, and we're just gonna roll with it. So Cromwell behind us, we're gonna break off and go attack him. He may have friends down there. So here's a micro position thing. Let's get behind cover of the hill as much as possible and mitigate incoming fire. That's a bad play. I shouldn't be ramming him. I was hoping to slip through there. Of course, already drills me. Obviously, he would shoot the fastest tank out there. Anyway, we're in pretty good position to just go down the one line now. The tank here with full health, Warspite needs to kind of get into the fight here. Not full health, but he can take some shots. Oh, that's right. We decided we're gonna disengage from that and then re-engage them through the other side of the hill. Once again, taking away the element of any potential pre-positioning. So if their Su-100Y would have pre-positioned to shoot us down the one line, we've now taken away his firing lane, and we should have some degree of surprise. So we've got to get our tanks a little tighter here. There's the SU-100Y. The correct play here is to go low, get under his gun as we're driving by. Keep driving forward, get under the gun. Yeah, again, we're getting a little too turned around here. We're definitely shooting each other too much. We need to be working past that guy and killing him more efficiently to get under the incoming fire of the Su-100Y. I mean, I guess it was fine and all that, but we still ended up shooting each other, and we still ended up leaving a tank in our midst and not being ready for the next shot quite as effectively. I think we ram kill him. Oh, we were supposed to ram kill him, but whoever that was, Bob, didn't want to get shot in the face. What it was. we are. Steps open map. I don't think we played. No, we had one other game on this map so far this night. We're gonna do our typical east of the map. Push, see what we can find. Shoot from there. Again, usually I prefer that most of the tanks stay low and try not to be spotted in here. There's a certain advantage to them not knowing that what we're doing. Me being the light tank, if I was spotted here and that was all they saw, it would not necessarily be clear what we're doing with just that play. So we need to stop on a ridge or corner and kill this. Actually, I think I said go. I don't remember what I said. We're down to get them, I guess. Getting that Hellcat out is important though. Alright, so we got a kill on the Hellcat. Now we've got our guys going into the 35M. We should... Now here's a position, as opposed to what we were saying before, where you can drive past him. But drive past him and encircle him to get the kill. This is a misplay going high though. When he's down in a valley like that, we're gonna kill him in the valley and not take return fire. So if we're getting to a position where we're gonna take return fire, then that's a misplay because we would have killed him for free there. Now we're at risk of getting killed in the open and losing a tank. So now we just need to disengage and reevaluate. The initial purpose, I like what Brad is doing there, trying to get up above. There's a tank surrounding us. We're already maneuvering to try to deal with that, so it's not going to be an issue. It is a little bit tricky to know what to do here, actually, though. If we should actually just go in and try to get him out, because we're going to take return fire like that. Or should we be careful? So we decided to let's not go in, let's be careful. Blind fire into the bushes is always fine. We've got our light tank in position. We should know if they're going to come that direction. He just needs to keep working vision out. I'll try to keep working vision out from here as well. So the discussion here becomes, how can we reposition to make this work? That guy in the middle kind of isolated. I think we should attack him. So we're gonna get a couple of our Cromwells to go. I probably shouldn't. I kind of want to make it known if he's trying to escape right here. So I need to be able to spot him. If I can take safe damage, I'm going to take safe damage. What we're going to do, I think we didn't quite get to the conclusion yet, but if we can get that Cromwell out, I think they might be looking for alternative firing angles. But again, the angles on this hill are problematic because you'll get spotted and then shot from their base. But I think what we're talking about now is we need alternate firing angles. That's when you get spotted there. Oh, I thought that bush wasn't covering me, but so let's take a couple tanks. Let's go kill this guy. We can do so cleanly. Again, it's super important that we stay down in the valley as we make this play, and not get shot by their tanks that can support. So right here, this is fine. That little poke there that tank made to see what was happening, that was fine. This is problematic because I think we're going to take fire. I'm not going to follow him up there. He's reversing anyway. Luckily, we didn't take fire making that play across the middle. But we need to stay down in the valley here and set up our hard cover, like so. We got through that pretty cleanly. He shot Comet a couple times. Now we're going to disengage, just in case they're rushing us. I don't think they really are. Go dark. And here's where we probably could have played this differently. I think we probably should have took a wider. We should have completely disengaged and taken a wider approach down like the H3 area and shot him from sideways there. But we thought if we moved together in pincer, yeah, we should be okay right here. If we move together in pincer from this angle, then we should be okay as long as the other tanks are moving in as well. And so we are split, but we're split with some degree of togetherness, if that makes sense. So the other flank is going to move simultaneously. They're going to go try to get the mediums out. We're going to engage the heavies here. We should be able to get this guy out now. We don't need to... Again, I don't think we need to chase right here. I think this is a good example of where we can fight him from below with no chance of return fire, rather than go up behind him and expose yourself to fire from the heavy tank. Actually, I'm not sure who killed that guy. Yeah, heavy tank did. The HT4. The other flank is winning here. Tanks are in the open here. I think it's okay to stop and take safe damage, like this tank is doing. Playing the side of the ridge right there that other Cromwell is playing, Chaco, is also a really, really strong play. So whoever this is, Warspite should be invisible, shoot, fall back. If he's not able to safely do that, he should use a different piece of cover. Same thing with Bob. Bob should be able to shoot, fall back, sort of scenario. So now Chaco's feeling a little pressured. This 84-85 should certainly kill him. Like, that would be the correct play from that tank. From that tank's perspective. This is a good play too by Warspite to kind of leave the heavies, and also Bob's getting effective fire on the 34-85. I'm okay with our positioning here. We're a little lucky. We were able to not get one-on-one versus that 84-85, which I think that tank should have tried to kill Chaco in a one-on-one. Bob's saying, hold on, let me get up the hill a little bit, and now I have some shots on him. So we're gonna be able to re-establish an advantage here by shooting from range. And right there, there's another missed opportunity. The HT's turret was clearly turned towards Bob. I think he was blind firing, but our two tanks here should have seen that his turret was turned and shot him in return, and or been positioning up further this way. And the same is true now. We should be pretty safe here. Bob has the ability to get up into that Overwatch and shoot him. As long as we don't make a silly mistake here, we should be okay. And with two tanks, we should have a pretty good chance of not making a silly mistake as long as we go together and don't let them shoot us multiple times. And I guess bouncing him helps. And there Bob got the kill. So again, I think the couple positional misplays in the way that we're attacking targets and trying to make sure we understand the difference between an all-in where we definitely need to drive in there, get past them, turn their guns, set up your next shot, versus when we've caught a tank that's isolated, not exposing yourself to oncoming fire. Just calm down and shoot the tank that's in front of you, basically, and not necessarily drive in there per se. So on fjords, much of the action tends to happen by the middle tiny lake or whatever that is, and I lately have found that it's useful to have a tank or two from the south when you're in this spawn. A tank or two from the south getting crossfire into whatever's happening, taking early easy damage and spotting, and then the rest of the tanks need to be positioning for a fight on the corner of the big rock, hopefully in some way that allows us to have a positional advantage. And this is the classic story of a team with a whole bunch of rather diverse tanks. You know, they've got one that's pretty fast, they've got a couple heavies that are very slow, they've got some mediums. The E8 is kind of just an okay tank, it's not that strong. So we're going to try to find out what they're doing here. Cromwells in the south haven't spotted the their force either. So we're starting to try to figure out where the heck they are. For all intents and purposes, it looks like they're camping. We gotta check the north right now. And there's at least one tank there, so we need to dispatch the Cromwells to go try to deal with that. The Cromwells in the south, and or have we not done that yet? I guess we haven't done that yet. I'm just basically going to try to spot, I guess. Yeah, now we're gonna redispatch our Cromwells to go take care of that. In the north, the danger is that by delaying this fight, if he's going to get back up, they're going to be there when we get there and not after we get there. That the whole purpose of having fast tanks is to take favorable matchups and favorable fights whenever we can get them early without part of their force being able to respond. So it looks like at least we've caught this guy by surprise. But he does have some friends. I think we're going to be okay though. Still, judge by we're far enough around the corner. If their heavy tanks were going to be here, they would be spotted by now. So that leads to the decision to keep pushing the engagement. Because we got to win it now. We got to, we had a 5-on-3 and kept that by focusing fire. We've only got one, well now just 2 tanks killed, but we are getting focused now from the south, so we need to reposition ourselves. At the same time, I should say too, the tanks from the other side were starting to push in, and that was really important as far as establishing that long-range vision, like against their EZ8, because that forced them to not be shooting at us, and their heavies were shooting at us as well, so that it's really been able to split their fire here. So 4-on-2, we should be able to focus fire close quarters against tanks with very poor DPM. So we must have called targets here. Said 150 first. I think we just shot each other there. No, we rammed it. We rammed against the backside of the 150. I believe is what happened. I want to rewind that. I'm pretty sure we just rammed ourselves to get death against the back of the 150. It's his gun. Yeah, his gun was not looking. So let's not do that anymore. Let's not ram ourselves to death on tanks that weigh like 4 times what ours weigh. But we still are able to focus our fire against tanks with relatively poor DPM and win. Now we're gonna ram them though. That's different. Let's just be clear. That's a different scenario. Okay, so once again, if you just team lineup, in terms of team lineup, we have an advantage. The C100Y, the TOG2, those things should not be able to be in a reasonable position with what we're able to do. If we can get any sort of early damage, early safe damage, without their TOG, without their C100Y, whatever, we're going to have some sort of advantage for this map. So, and just the way this map works, that the middle is very dominant in general, and so we need to try to get them spotted and get them shot up early. We both light tanks probably overextended right there. I know I would have been dark right there. And then there's a TOG. He did make it down there, which is really surprising to me that he's made it down there and isn't spotted. So I'm in a tough scenario here. And his angle makes it so it's hard for us to... the Tog's angle makes it hard for us to do much. So right here, their Su-100Y is finally spotted. So what I see is an ability to get behind them. So I want to flank them, and I think I had a tank come with me. I think the other light tank and I are going to go flank. There's a couple nuances here that make this not work, though. One of them is that I get too far ahead of the 64. I don't think our Cromwell's in danger. Again, they have their mediums in the middle without their Stritzfong, without their Su-100Y, and without their Tog 2. So they have 3 tanks that really can't be engaging them. Another nuance that happens, I'm quite certain that our Type 64 was spotted, so that alerted them to reposition. I also was spotted there, which is kind of insane. I don't know how I got spotted. So they know that there's 2 light tanks behind them now, and as stupid as it is their Tog is actually kind of taking away a position from us. And so, under a lot of circumstances, I would think that we could go low or to the Tog side and engage their mediums, but the Tog is there, so it's actually preventing us from using that angle. Additionally, there's a Cromwell that fall back, so there's 3 tanks now attacking my position. I think what we talked about at the time was that the Cromwells in the middle need to get really active, because we know, again, there's multiple tanks. I'm going to die, right? So there's no way I'm going to live through this. But there's multiple tanks not shooting the Cromwell's middle position right now, and so we need to be able to take advantage of that and push. There's a click on the map, and push something into there that gets us a win somehow, somewhere, some way. But ultimately, we weren't. It all happens really quick, and we weren't able to capitalize on it. And we're going to withdraw and try to reset the engagement from a distance. And this is ultimately, I guess, a mistake too. If we can get into the corner, in the A1 area corner, that can spot out from there. I don't know. This is a lot of little nuanced things. The way that this played didn't go well, and I was actually really disappointed because we lost to a freaking Tog. A team that takes a Tog on an open map, that in a way he was completely out of position. The Tog was out of position, but in a way, him being in a weird position or out of position or whatever you want to call it, it actually took away some firing angles for us, which I didn't really anticipate. I think when the light tanks went to the corner, I think our Cromwell force would have been able to rotate to their left, and they could have been fine. Now we're going to ram a tank that's heavier than us twice. We're also going to get shot from the hill a little bit too much there, or from the middle a little too much. I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter at this point, but going up there would have been a misplay. We do have to kill this tank. Oh, of course the Su-100Y is there. I mean, it didn't matter, but those are weird map positioning things allowed them to win this. I'm not super proud of this one. So once again on Ensk, which is a really challenging map to play with medium tanks. I think we're just going to go for it on the one line again. Hopefully, there are advantages to doing this in terms of surprise. We should be able to catch them. Not a lot of opposing teams would anticipate a whole bunch of Cromwells to blitz one line. So just because you don't do it that often, with this type of lineup. So there's an element of surprise that we might be able to capitalize on here. So immediately we're in pretty good position compared to what they've got going. I should probably just slow down very slightly here and wait for things to catch up. But we need to keep going here. Yeah, I probably should have slowed and wait for a medium. Here's another great example of things I'm seeing us do. Is this Cromwell turned completely around? He could have probably not turned completely around. Got into cover here. Shot. He might not even needed to shoot this guy because we had such a force right behind him. and then he would have been more prepared to get into the fray a little bit more. But yeah, we need to press into the fray here. Also, you know, these tanks after that are in the far back here, after this one had died, they didn't really need to keep coming along the back side of that, so they're now removing their guns from play for a while here. Focus fire, gotta focus fire, and keep pressing out. We can't just sit here, they're already capping us. And we also probably should realize that and start getting back to cap. Is that I think it's a misplay to go after these tanks through this area here. We should have went the other way, killed the Excalibur, and ran away from these tanks in order to get resets. But it's hard to know. It's such a small map. You always feel like you have time to get back on this one, but obviously that's not the correct play. So, you know, it's really, really close. 1 second, you know, right there. I think that was a misplay. I think we should have killed the Excalibur and left the other two mediums and just ran away from them. Maybe they would have turned around and killed us as we were leaving. I don't know. That's hard to judge. Obviously, we need to, or maybe just sent. We probably should have sent a tank to go reset, or 2 tanks or something. Split our forces or something. That would have been a way to work it as well. Here's Muravanka. We have a team with no light tanks again. So, you know, and I say this in a relative sense, I guess. You know, they don't have no vision, right? The Cromwells, you can get them to like 440 with a good crew and everything. So they have tanks that have good view range, and they can establish vision, but they can't do it as effectively, like on the move especially. Like our light tanks will have like, you know, 30, 40, whatever % camo rating while moving, whereas the Cromwells just aren't going to get to that level. So I shouldn't say that they don't have vision, but they have on an open map a lesser ability to see what's happening. So I kind of significantly overextended there. Surprised I didn't get spotted making that absurd play. But right here, I see there's 2 tanks chasing me, and I know that me and Brad A are not with our main group, so that means that at the very least our main group is going to have an even fight. And it might be it's something where, again, if we're able to focus fire like we are usually able to, it should be something that we could win. So when those 2 disengaged, I wanted our Cromwells to engage. I think what is happening though is we're going over the top of the hill, and we're getting a lot of our tanks shot up, and we should be going around the hill, not over the top of the hill. I think we need to go over, even low road right there would be fine. So, you know, or maybe the fact is they focus fire really that much better than us. I don't know. I mean, they shouldn't have had a tank advantage. So I'm pretty sure we're going to lose right here. Also, I mean, I guess it's not for lack of getting shots off, because you saw right there, they have tanks that are lower on hit points. They've got a 1 shot, and they've got at least 2 tanks that are 2 shots or within 2 shot range. So I was gonna have Brad A cap, but I realized it's not gonna work on this map. So maybe if I would have capped immediately with them, even then, I don't know. Maybe not. I don't think it would have worked. But at any rate, I think that we're not playing that engagement correctly consistently, because we seem to struggle on that in the woods there with how to win that engagement, you know, in like an all-in scenario. And maybe we're trying to force it a little too much. Again, it's kind of the principle of you have to be able to take mismatches when you have mismatches, and so there's, I don't know if it was a mismatch, but it was as close to a even fight as we could have got with having 1-for-1 medium tanks with them, and then just let our skill and focus fire, maybe more, let our focus fire determine who wins. But I think we just take too much damage getting into the position where we're all shooting, and we're not going to, in a coordinated way, or maybe we're going over the top. We need to go more around the hill. Different ways to kind of try to figure out what's going on with that map, because it's not the first time we've made that sort of an outcome out of a scenario which should have been maybe more favorable. The other thing too is maybe we should have just held. Maybe we should have just held there, waited for the 2 light tanks to go get on cap, draw them at, find another way to split their force, because again we would have been by definition split there. I don't know. Maybe we should have just waited and slow played it and let Brad A join the fray, and me and the other light tank could have shot from behind. There's lots of ways to theoretically go through that one, and and play the what ifs. If they were on top of it, they would have recognized that we didn't have all of our tanks there, and they should have pushed us if they would have all been able to get together. So, I don't know. We got to figure out something better and or different to do with that map. Here's Ghost Valley again. So, if I'm not mistaken, this is going to play out in a way that I had discussed earlier, in that we are having trouble with making plays that along the one line that don't get us shot from the city. And so I think we need to figure out different ways to play this map, is basically what I'm wondering. Ideally, they should have an Excalibur that's somewhere not with their main force, so we should have an advantage in that regard. We can see now that they are split. And we need to find ways to take advantage of that. And the challenge with doing so is that if we overextend in a way that's not careful, we're going to run into trouble. So their Cromwell is being aggressive. We have to, if he's that close to us, we have to kill him. And so, there we go, we're shooting each other again. So we should be able to kill him pretty cleanly and get into cover, which is what the guys are doing. Maybe we're not getting to cover. I know there's not a lot there. There's enough, though. And they're going to... I'm not sure what I'm doing, actually. I need to probably be up there with them. They're going to make a play... I think I was going to try to get them off of the town. So as they go through town, I get it. So they're going to make a play there into a tank. I think that's ultimately what's incorrect about this, is that we should have, after we killed the Cromwell, just reset the scenario, disengaged, got vision, got distance again. Because now we're getting shot from the city, so we're overcommitting the one line. And again, I think this is a consistent thing. We're overcommitting the one line and not getting safe from the city. And there's ways to do that. You can get down into cover, down in the depression down below. But ultimately, I think taking that early, because I do believe our guys weren't spotted, so that first Cromwell that poked on their team to go see what was going on, we needed to kill him. He was out of position relative to the rest of his team. After that, though, I don't know. I think they did a really good job of disengaging and withdrawing into a position that they had support fire, and maybe we needed to realize that and not chase them. If they would have stayed in that initial ridge, like at G1, I believe we could have got in there and killed them without taking a lot of return fire from the city. So I don't know, maybe this needs to be one of those maps where we have to very purposefully intentionally do things that are maybe not exactly going to always be good for our tanks. Maybe we need to go through the city more. That's a bad shot. Doesn't matter, but got to kill the one shot. you know, maybe we should be trying to play stronger through the city. But I guess that's the stinker with this map, is that if you do that, then the opposite is true. They just fall back and then allow their team to support them from the hills then. So I don't know. I don't think there's a clean answer to that at this time. I think this map is kind of hard to play. Okay, so pretty standard approach to fjords, where we're going to have a couple tanks go down to the south and play through the middle. You don't need like hyper view range there. You just need a tank that can get some shots off and run away to help if they need to run away. Everybody else should be playing through the donut. I like to try to get early spots, because once in a while, if you can catch what they're doing early, it really helps. And we also need to be aware too that, I don't know if this is always delineated, but I feel like occasionally we need to have a tank go to that corner. Because the crumbles, they should be mostly able to see what's happening, I guess. Now that I say that, so. Alright, so we're set on the corner, they're set on the corner. It looks like they want to come in, so we just got to focus fire here. And the tanks that aren't in the fight, that are down below, need to come in and get in the fight. We need to do the best we can. Usually the correct answer is their front tank's got to die fast. Usually our front tanks are going to die fast too. So they're kind of slowly falling behind as the slow push is going on here. Probably could have got that light tank out. I feel like I'm getting free damage, so I'm not going to join it. You know, I'm shooting on reload, doing constant damage, so I'm going to move as soon as I don't have that right there. And now we're in pretty good shape. You know, the tanks that get pushed on in that scenario are sacrificial lambs, but you know, their job isn't to like kill their force. Their job is to take focus fire, take away guns, knowing that they're going to die, and slow down, if they can slow down how fast they die, so our other tanks can get their support. But also to be able to, you know, focus fire, track a tank on the corner, do anything they can to get guns out. So I think we did a pretty good job of all of that. I think the tanks that got pushed into did a really nice job of taking guns out as they died. They knew they were going to die. It's just going to happen. You know, again, you could argue, should I have been in the fray? It's hard to argue that when I'm doing consistent on reload DPM to the backs of tanks. I probably need to just take that. And again, it was a scenario where it was not going to take me long to reposition to help out with the next thing that was about to happen. I saw that our other tanks coming up from the left, so I knew that I would be with them and I would be able to help, you know, what was left of our force at that time. We would be relatively together, so it was all going to work out okay, and it did. So Himmelsdorf, once again, this is the last replay. There's there's a moment that is really hard for me to watch in this, so stay tuned. But no, we're gonna do the play that I think we've had the most success with on this map. I think we're getting pretty good at Himmelsdorf as a group. I think we all know the few variations of how this plays. So light tank should spot middle. If we see anything, we should be able to know what they're doing. If we don't see anything, then there's only a limited number of places they can be. They can be hill, camping in the back, or going down B lines. So it's looking like they're relatively thinly spread in the back somewhere. And so we're going to attack, and if we don't see anything along the 3 line, we're going to go more across. And so they're really spread out, so we have to kill isolated tanks. It's, again, that part of World of Tanks never changes. Like, as long as we have isolated tanks and we can send 5 into 1, we need to take 5 into 1. So we'll kill him, and then we're going to get relatively safe. And knowing what their lanes of fire are. The 2 light tanks are going to reposition. I would expect some tanks to be down this alleyway, so I'm going to be a little careful as I cross. But this is ultimately where I want to go. I think we can attack down the middle alleyway better, so we're going to disengage our Cromwell force to not be shooting an alley fight there. I don't think that fight makes sense for us because they can have tanks in B0 that get lots of free fire down that line. And so that's the thing I've learned about this map recently is don't fall for going down that line. So we're going to disengage with Cromwells and re-engage them through the middle. This should allow us to do multiple things. Again, we're not spotted, they don't know we're coming. It's always, we feel like we have an advantage. Should we wait for that last Cromwell or should we just go? He's close, he's close, he's close. We're just going to go because we feel like we can take an advantage here. So here we go, we have soon to have a 4 and 5 on 1 and 2, so he needs to immediately die. This 64 out in front is going to be the next one. Getting a little hung up there. We shouldn't have any trouble killing that 64 in front, but now we need to reposition here for this fight. So that tank's double tracked. We need to kill him and then start to push in and get this next tank out. We've got all kinds of healthy tanks. Again, keeping with the theme of continuing to take mismatches. This was actually a really chaotic battle. So the tanks that were behind me there did a good job of recognizing what's happened. So we had a mismatch in every way we could take it. So now, here's the trickiness about this is that they are likely to have a dude, God knows where, about to go in our cap, or what I was really concerned with, a dude in A0. And so we can either go down this alleyway and take our chances fighting him, but you can see that we got some tanks that are relatively low health, or we can disengage and go back down the 5 line, which is what I think would be a stronger play. And so, yeah, right here, this is really unfortunate. Bob gets tracked and shot in the open. I should have probably gone and covered him. So we're going to disengage and take the other route, but before we do that, we need to ram kill each other. So instead of having a 4-on-1 with 2 really healthy tanks, now we have a 2-on-1 with fairly healthy tanks, but still it's a 2-on-1. I'd rather have 4 than 2 guns though, for a lot of reasons. So that would be really ugly. So that makes me cringe. So we're not even gonna mess with this anymore. We'll just sit on the little tiny bit of cap right here that you can sit on and make him come to us. And the idea is once he closes range, then we can just go 2v1 him. But we want him to. We don't want him to have any chance of using cover. We're a little worried he's gonna come from back behind. So there he gets one off without us able to respond. He's on that corner again. We don't really want to push into that, so we don't want to get shot here either. So Com's got to be a little careful. We don't want him to have any cover when he engages us, so we need him to close. So we're still okay. We still have 2 tanks with way more hit points than he can really deal with if we're both able to engage him at the same time. Again, we're a little worried, is he going to come back from around the other way? I suppose our proper play would have been to both face forward and then drive around the corner if he came from behind us. But here he is. And then again, we get shot. I can't say this enough. We can't get shot for 0 reason. We got shot for 0 reason twice. One of them was understandable because the dude kind of came on the corner and was able to side grip out. That one was sticking the back end of our tank out behind a wall. That's not very good. So he shot. I'm going to try to get one out quick. And then I take a shot. That's stupid. But now we have to use that reload. So he shot. I'm going to go again. I miss. Now we need to regroup here a little bit. So we're allowing him to just nail us here. So I can take a shot. I want to, if he shoots, I want to try to get past him. I don't want to get shot, but if he does shoot, I want to drive past him. We can't be putting our back towards the enemy again here. That tank sticks out way too far in the back. There we go. I want to drive past him and try to turn his turret. And at this close range, I feel like I can get past him. So he shot HE. I'm going to go turn his turret. We got 2 shots in there, and then he shoots HE for 314 at me. And now the rest of what happens is only amazing. So Comet mega low rolls. He was going to have to shoot him twice anyway, but the 3045M still had HD loaded from when he shot me, and he ended up not penning or doing enough HD damage to the Cromwell, and now Cromwell has a reload. So it's just unbelievable that we won that game. In some ways, because of how poorly we got outplayed right at the end, but it's also unbelievable that we had a 4-on-1 and turned it into a 1-on-1 with 23 hit points left. So I don't know if it was because it's the end of the night or whatever, but that's a really, really close to being a bad loss. And I was a little beside myself when that was happening. So that was our last game for the night. Overall, again, on the night we were 15, 12, and 1. The one draw we kind of decided to do because we had no realistic way of winning it rather than a loss. We just decided to draw. So, what went well, what didn't go well in this night. I think our focus fire continues to improve. I would say that. I think certain aspects of micro plays continue to improve. I think some maps are becoming more familiar with what we should be doing and what we should be trying to do. But I feel like some maps we're not playing as well as we used to, as a downside. I also think that there are little micro mismanagements of a lot of our tanks still, and I talked about a lot in these videos, and I think a lot of them that I'm seeing are mostly related to not anticipating what the next play is going to be, because you see these tanks, if we all shoot a tank, they're going to die, so you can kill a tank within like 4 seconds. If you have 3 tanks shooting one tank, they're going to take about 6 or 8 seconds to die. So the target that you're shooting, and if you have a lot of your tanks with you, isn't going to be a target for very long. There's going to be only a limited time in a lot of these scenarios where you're going to be on your target, and so we need to be anticipating the next target a lot better. And also, as we're not only anticipating the next target, but as we're shooting the tank, as we're shooting our target, anticipating where hard cover is, anticipating where incoming fire is likely to be coming from, and using hard cover. And I think that the natural response to that is, well, yeah, but you got to be a little careful with the gun depression over the back of the Cromwell is really awful. And yeah, I agree it is. And I think some of what we saw has to do with guys trying to not necessarily misreading the scenario or the next target. I think there's some of that, certainly, but I also think there's some of guys trying to turn their tanks so they can actually continue to engage and not just shoot into the sky because they have positive gun depression over the back of the Cromwell. So again, another thing that I think we were able to, I think that's a negative. There were a couple, certainly also a negative thing. There were a couple map things that happened that I think were misread and misunderstood, and poor assumptions were made. And I think that's the nature of it. There's always going to be things that happen on the map where you can't be correct all the time. But I also think that that's true for both teams all the time. There's likelihoods, and there's what you see, and there's things that you're not going to have full access to, information that you're not going to have full access to on either team. So you have to just use your best assumptions at the time and go for it, and understand that sometimes you're going to be wrong. I don't feel like we had a lot of games that were vastly incorrect judgment things. Prokhorovka is one that I can think of. Sand River a couple times are things I can think of. But again, we're trying to get 60 and 70% wins. So everything is fair game. Every misplay that worked and every misplay that didn't work is fair game for criticism or second look or whatever. I was thinking about it more about what our goal is. I'd like to be in the 70% win rate range. That'd be awesome most of the time. 60% should be kind of like the floor, the bare minimum, I think. We were 15, 12, and 1 So that's like a 53% win rate. So in these 28 games, 17 wins would have been a 60% win rate. So that's only 2 more wins. So there's certainly 2 of these games where I think we could have made an argument that we could have been right there, and maybe we just got unlucky, coin flip a couple times. Getting to 70% wins, that's 4 more games. Maybe there's 4 of those games that we could have won that we didn't. But certainly ones like this, where there's games where we clearly mid-game were dominating and then managed to make it way too close that we easily could have lost too. So I guess it goes both ways, and on average, I think there's lots of little things that add up that make wins and losses, and it's usually not that easy. But if you start to dissect some of these things, I think we'll hopefully learn and get better for next time. Another thing too that we've been talking about is trying to get more reliable, or I guess more forgiving tanks, I guess. So I think 3485M is probably a little more forgiving because of the armor advantage. It's not going to be as mobile, but the Cromwell Bees are a lot more... They probably play like light tanks as much as they do mediums. They're so mobile, and that's going to get you some wins because you're able to reposition and you're able to take advantage of map situations more. So we're going to have to see how that plays out, but I think we're going to try some different tank lineups next session to try to get to those extra 2 or 3 wins with maybe a more forgiving tank than the Cromwell, which can be, just it always gets penned, and the gun is really derpy, and to play it well takes luck, but also some degree of high crew skills and some of these other things. So maybe getting into a more forgiving tank will be something that'll allow us to win those couple extra games as well. So I guess we'll find out. Maybe I'll be able to get those uploaded as well.